الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة من أطاع الله ورسوله فقد رشد واهتدى ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا وسيجزي الله الشاكرين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله والكتاب الذي نزل على رسوله والكتاب الذي أنزل من قبل ومن يكفر بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر فقد ضل ضلالا بعيدا صدق الله العظيم. My respected brothers and sisters, in this ayah 136 of Surah An-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the believers, the people who already have got the Iman. Because whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to address the non-believers, the Ammatin Nas, He addresses them with Ya Ayyuhan Nas. And it is only to the Muslims, to the people who have got the Iman or who claim themselves to be the believers, that He addresses them with the title Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu aminu billahi wa rasulihi wal kitabil ladzi nazzala ala rasulihi. That, O the believers, yes, you know that you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and in the Quran. But check your belief in these three things, because these are the core of your belief system. And if somehow your belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet alayhi salatu wa salam and His book, the Quran, is somehow not leaving you with that tinges of anxiety and tension, which makes you really think about your relationship with these three entities and guard your Iman in them, then come back and revisit that Aqidah, revisit that Iman, and work hard on it. Because the Aqidah in these three elements of faith is going to determine your lifestyle. If your lifestyle is not a reflection of your Aqidah or your faith in these three entities, then go back, revisit it, and work upon it. Now the word Aqidah is derived from the word Aqada. Aqada. In Arabic language, whenever somebody talks about Aqada, Aqadtum nikah, Aqd al-bay, Aqd al-shira, whatever you call it, the basic meaning, they revolve around al-jam'a bayn atraf al-shay. To bind or to connect or to unite the two dots. So when those people who are getting married, one comes from a different family and the other comes from a different family. This person has got his own upbringing, will, intellect, consciousness. This person has got its own will, intellect, independent person, and consciousness. But you bring those two together in marriage. This is called Uqdat al-Nikah. Tying the two so that they become one and united. In the same fashion, the contract is between two people. He brings his entity, and this person brings his entity, the money, and you tie them together. This is called Aqd al-Bay. So the Aqidah is from Aqada. When it ties your inside with your outside suluk and tasarrufat, this is what is Aqidah. Aqidah is something which ties you from yourself, a little cosmos, to the bigger cosmos, which is your universe or your surrounding. Aqidah is also your actions, which will connect you between you and your family, your children, the other human beings around you. And Aqidah is something which connects you, the temporal, the person who is transitory in nature, with the eternal, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Aqidah is also something which connects your temporal dunya life with your eternal akhirah life, and makes out of you somebody who will live either for eternity or who will perish either for eternity. So therefore, my brothers and sisters, it is important for us that we regularly revisit our aqidah, our iman, our belief system. Because very often, because of our Muslim background, we take these concepts for granted. And in addition to that, we have been now, mashallah, living here for quite a while. And our surrounding, our environment is so materialistic, is sometimes so daring, and I will say sometimes to the extent agnostic and atheist, that it does not remind us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of our inner self, of our akhirah. And I will have no hesitation to say even what I am going to say in the next sentence, and be careful about the 3 words. That even the concept of God in Christianity, in Judaism, and I would say even among us the Muslims, this is the word I want you to emphasize upon, is really a screwed up concept of God and Akhirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or God, is no more awe-inspiring as it used to be back home, or it used to be when we were reminded of Him or of Akhirah. Wallahi, God in Christianity, in Judaism, and among us the Muslims, and especially I would say the secular Muslims, have just become that there is some entity who exists. We call upon Him whenever we need, and we discard Him, astaghfirullah, whenever we do not need. We do not establish our relationship with that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based upon His terms. We establish our relationship with Him based upon our needs. فَإِذَا مَسَّ الْإِنسَانَ الضُّرُّ دَعَانَا لِجَنْبِهِ أَوْ قَاعِدًا أَوْ قَائِمًا فَلَمَّا كَشَفْنَا عَنْهُ ضُرَّهُ مَرَّ كَأَن لَّمْ يَدْعُنَا إِلَىٰ ضُرٍّ مَسَّهُ كَذَلِكَ زُيِّنَ لِلْمُسْرِفِينَ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. When we need Him, Allah, 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 salawat, MashaAllah, taking care of everything, we can think that He is going to be happy with. And whenever we do not need Him, just discard Him like a shirt, astaghfirullah, does not fit anymore, so I don't need Him. So therefore, it is important for us to work on this element. And I gave last week the example of a tree. The aqidah is the root. If you do not provide it with fertile soil, or does not regularly replenish it with water and nutrition, it will get some moisture from the rain or from some water, whatever is around it, and after that will dry out, will not give you the true fruits. And there is, I can tell you, there is a difference between what we call ilm, knowledge, and between the belief or aqidah. And I will also have no hesitation in saying that you and me, most of us the Muslims, we have got the information that there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we don't have the belief that He is with me or He is there along, say for example, to watch me and to do whatever He can with me. Shaitan had the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. And his knowledge was very, very, I would say, extreme about the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But his aqidah was not sufficient enough to stop him from rebelling against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of his ignorance. So the difference between aqidah and ilm is that aqidah makes you do things accordingly. And ilm, you can just learn something about it, whether you want to do something according to it or not is something different. And I will give you the example. You know, we believe that fire burns. And even if we have not been burned by the fire, because majority of the people, their experience has showed them that the fire burns. So as soon as our finger comes closer to fire, we automatically pull it back. Because we believe it burns. Because we believe that our salary is the one which takes care of our bills. So whether it is cold or whether it is hot, snowing, we automatically find a way to clean up the garage, mashallah, the sideways, get the car clean and go to the work. Or if somehow, because of the extreme situations, we are unable, we make sure that we make the phone call and give the proper excuse. Because we know, because we believe, our experience shows that this is the source of our bills. Wallahi, if our aqidah in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in the Quran, will be that our inner self, our belief, is joined with our actions, this is what is the Iman Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts. And whenever somebody sees that his inner self or her inner self and his or her actions are two different animals, then there is a need for that person, including me and every Muslim, to start working on that aspect of his belief, because maktasabat fi imaniha khaira, this person is not earning something good in his or her iman or faith. How do you do it? You analyze your surrounding and the things which are taking you away from that inner self, or making a kind of demarcation line between your actions and between your inner feelings or your belief. And I'm going to get to the specifics now. As I've said, that most of our iman or faith is shaken because of the materialism, secularism, and I would say atheism, ilhad, which is rampant around us and in our surroundings, especially in the American society. So the question we need to ask ourselves is, are we practically atheist or we are aqadi atheist? Because there are two kinds of atheists, mulhid. One is a mulhid in aqidah, in one's belief that there is no God. The other is a mulhid in one's practice, that he or she says that I know there is God, but his or her amal, action, does not prove of that belief. So the person who does not have the iman is the person who is mulhid in aqidah, needs to work on that. And the person who does not have the action according to that iman, that aqidah, needs to work upon his or her amal. And I would say majority of us, we come in the second category. Sometimes because everybody else believes that there is no God, or somehow they have got doubts about that God, or they have got doubts about the way akhirah is going to come. So their actions impact upon our actions also. Now we need to work on that one. The question is, what is the atheist offering to the world? Saying there is no God, saying that this universe came out of nothing, that things are gradually and evolutionary growing to the perfections, and this world will continue till eternity because it is evolving out of itself. saying that you and me, we came out of, astaghfirullah, amoeba to the monkeys, and from monkeys we became human being. I'm not sure whether next stage will be that we will become dogs, or astaghfirullah, or become elephant because we are growing. We don't see anybody growing out of humanity and becoming an elephant or lion. So my question is, what are they offering? There's no God, there's no akhirah. We just came into this being as a chance. We have to live it, enjoy it, and after that there's nothingness. What is the positive contribution of atheism or materialism or even extreme secularism to our life? Animals eat, they drink, they also marry, they have got children. But the difference between them and us is that we know that we have got a beginning in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have got an end to this life by ilayhi al-masir. And we have got to go back to Him. And He is going to tell us, Ikra kitabak, kafa bi nafsika al-yawma alayka hasiba. That just read whatever you did and you be the judge for yourself and your destiny. My question is, when you say there's nothing before us, nothing after us, and this is all it is, nobody can have sa'ada, nobody can have peace, nobody can have the longing for tranquility and eternity and peace of mind. Do you want to live that kind of life? Or do you want to live the life of agnostic? Whenever you ask, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or God exist? He says, I don't know. Why are people dying? We don't know. What will happen after that? We don't know. Are you going to follow that ignorance which does not know anything and just say, the only thing I know is drink, have fun, and then I don't know after that? But this is what is the impact upon us, you and me. We are a kind of reflection of those ideologies because our actions are a reflection of those thought patterns. You need to analyze it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, no, you need to interact with your surrounding. Because when you connect yourself with your surrounding, that will connect you back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because your surrounding and your kaun, your universe, your cosmos, is the reflection and the manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the tajalli of your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what you need to do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps on giving you example after examples in the Quran about your cosmos, about your universe, and we call it cosmological arguments. The arguments from Kaun, al-adilla al-kawniyya. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you is, combine the adilla al-Qur'aniyya with the adilla al-kawniyya, the arguments from the Quran, the ayat of the Quran. Combine it with the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the universe, in you, in the human beings. And this is where we as Muslims are missing the boat. We read the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna al-quluba la tasda kama yasda al-hadid. That all the human beings' hearts, they get rusted like the iron gets rusted when mixed up with the water. And the Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in asked, Ya Rasulullah, wa ma jala'uha? How can we cleanse our hearts? The Prophet ﷺ said, Tilawat al-Quran wa dhikr al-maut. Recitation of the Quran and remembrance of the dead. Now what happens? You and me, we read Quran. Alif lam mim dhalikal kitabu la rayba fihi. But it does not make any change in us. It changes for a few seconds, and after that we go back to our business like usual. Nothing much difference. We say we read Quran, but it does not make much difference. The reason we have got the knowledge of the tilawa, we don't take a flight from there to connect the ayat al-Qur'aniyya with ayat al-kawniyya which are present in the Quran. We don't go out of the text of the Quran to the implication of the Quran in the universe and take those examples to increase our iman. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. That when the Quran is recited, when you read the Quran, it has to increase your faith and iman and your tawakkul upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if it does not do it, there is something wrong the way we are reading the Quran, or we are interpreting the Quran, or we are understanding the Quran. How you can do it? And I'll just quote some of the ayat from Surah Al-Ra'd. Because you go to any part of the Quran and you will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving you examples after examples to increase our iman through reflection upon what is going around us in our surrounding. Alif Lam Ra, tilka ayatul kitab, walladhi unzila ilayka min rabbika al-haqqu walakinna akthara an-nasi la yu'minun. These are the verses of the book which we have revealed to you, O Muhammad sallam, with truth. But majority of the people, they don't really believe in these ayat. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the ayat of the Quran that He has revealed them bil haqq, with the truth. After the first premises, He goes to the next ayah. Allahu allazi raf'a as-samawati bighayri amadin tarawna thumma istawa 'ala al-'arshi wa sakhkhara ash-shamsa wal-qamar kullun yajri li ajalin musamma yudabbiru al-amr yufassilu al-ayati la'allakum bi liqa'i rabbikum tuqinun. Because these are the ayat of the Quran, these are the ayat of Al-Kawn. You need to read the Quran in light of these examples so that you can benefit from the ayat of the Quran. The Lord who created the heavens without a pillar, and they are standing by themselves. Not only the moon or the sun, millions and billions of stars, so many galaxies, so heavy that human beings cannot even imagine if one meteorite or one small star or a portion of it breaks down and falls upon the earth, it will smash the whole earth in 1 second. But who is holding it? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَسَخَّرَ الشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ. He is the one who compels the sun and the moon to follow His commandments. كُلٌّ يَجْرِي لِأَجَلٍ مُسَمَّى. To go in the orbit and then for a specified term. Then go to the next one. وَهُوَ الَّذِي مَدَّ الْأَرْضِ وَجَعَلَ فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ وَأَنْهَارًا. It is Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has extended this earth. Some of them are hilly. Some of them are flat. Some of them pieces of land look like black. Some of them reddish. Some of them white. Are you the human beings or the scientist or the president of United States of America or Russia turning these things into different colors? Who is making it? And don't you think that after all of these claims, all the presidents and all the scientists go back to the same earth and soil and become nothing when they were something? So are you going to follow the God of science, God of rationalism, God of materialism, and forget about your original God? This is what is the connection which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to make it with this kind of arguments. And I want to, because I'm short time, I want to go to the next ayah. وَفِي الْأَرْضِ كِتَعٌ مُتَجَاوِرَاتٌ وَجَنَّاتٌ مِّنْ أَعْنَابٍ وَزَرْعٌ وَنَخِيلٌ سِنْوَانٌ وَغَيْرُ سِنْوَانٍ يُسْقَى بِمَاءٍ وَاحِدٍ وَنُفَضِّلُ بَعْضَهَا عَلَى بَعْضٍ فِي الْأُكُلِ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ. Oh man, you look at different tracts of earth. This one is fertile, this one is barren. Who makes this one fertile and this one barren? Some of them have got vineyard, different type of plants. Some of them have got plowed land. But you see the same kind of date palm tree. It has got the same water, the same soil. They are adjacent to each other, standing side by side. This one has got different taste of tamar. This one has got different taste of tamar. And there is a third plant which has got the same water, same roots, same chemical, same soil, but does not have even the fruit. And the one which is next one has got the fruit, but it is so bitter you cannot even eat it. Who is making it? Sometimes we human beings, we say, everything has got a cause. You put a stone there, That stone will stay there for centuries until somebody removes it, a wind or you or somebody. Do you think that all of these things are being caused by itself? Do you think that things are happening by themselves and there is no cause who is causing them to happen? This is what your materialism says. This is what your agnosticism and atheism and everybody says, that everything is happening by chance, by itself. That's what, my brothers, reflecting upon your surrounding. One time, Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayh was debating with an atheist. And as you know, mashallah, the arguments of atheism are to destroy everything. I don't know, there's no God, whatever. And I'll make it simple for you. They decided about a date, and they said that we will come and meet on the other side of Furat, Euphrates, in Baghdad. So people gathered from all over Baghdad. And the atheist is sitting waiting for Imam Abu Hanifa, and he got late. Now he started saying, see, your imam or your scholar was so scared of me, he will never come and show up because he does not have the proof. Imam Abu Hanifa reached over there half an hour late, and they said, what happened? He said, actually, I was on time, and I reached over there to the bank of Euphrates, and I was about to take the boat, but suddenly something very unusual happened. I looked at a tree, and the tree started cutting by itself. Then branches, they started getting broken into pieces by themselves. They changed into a boat by itself, and the boat came to me, and I just sat in that one. And without any captain, the boat brought me over here, and I was really, really astonished and got late. Now the atheist said that you want me to talk to this idiot, astaghfirullah, stupid, who can't. Have you ever seen that the boat is made by itself, or tree is cut by itself, and then the boat will bring him automatically to me? Do you want me to agree or to debate this fool? Imam Abu Hanifa says, you want me to debate with this bigger fool who cannot believe that a tree can cut itself, or a boat can make itself, or the boat will bring me wherever I want to by itself, but believes that the entire universe came into being by itself, it is running by itself, and all of these billions of phenomena are taking by itself. Who is a bigger fool? Scientists who say that there is no God, or you and me, the simple-minded people who say, وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهُ وَاحِدٌ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ الرَّحِيمُ. Finally, my brothers and sisters, reflect upon your surrounding and your interaction with other human beings. That will take you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and will strengthen your iman. Wallahi, we are so busy in what we want to accomplish. When I went to Khartoum a few weeks ago, I asked about one of my old friends who was with me in PhD, Abdurrahman Abbas, rahmatullah alayh. I remember when I went to do PhD in University of Wales, he was in his last year of thesis. I had some difficulty with my professors because I was talking about Christianity and Judaism, and they started saying, you are trashing our religion and you want us to give you PhD. And somehow I felt that they don't want to give me PhD. So I sought his help. That talked to the professor that, just don't come out as a religious Christian. Just look at the objectivity. If I'm saying something wrong, correct me, but don't just say, because I'm a Muslim, so I'm just subjective, things like that. He said, Zulfaqar, let me tell you, my family is waiting on me, my country is waiting on me, my university is waiting on me, because they gave me the scholarship. I cannot wait a day to delay my PhD. If I get in between you and the professor, he's going to delay me even the PhD. So just compromise whatever you want to do and get your PhD, and then keep on writing whatever you want to write later on. We used to sit from in the night like 7 p.m. till Fajr prayer in the library together, working hard, doing research. I begged him one or two times, Akhi, can you talk to him? And he says, man, don't ask me on this issue. I came and left and came to America, thinking that they will not give me PhD, and he did his PhD and went back to Sudan. After I got PhD after 7 years, I called him one or two times, but his numbers were changed, so never had the opportunity And I was angry also in my mind that, he never supported me. This time when I went, I asked about him. I said, he must be a big man right now in the university or in the ministry or wherever, because he's a very intelligent and very focused person. I asked the university professor, Dr. Hassan Makki, do you know anybody, Abdurrahman Abbas? He was with me in Wales. He looked at me, he said, when was the last time you talked with him? I said, I tried 1 or 2 times, never got hold of him. He said, Rahmatullah alayhi, passed away. I was just shocked. I couldn't believe myself. I said, Wallahi? He said, yeah. He said he got his PhD, came back, and had some ulcer complication, was taken to the hospital, then even flown to Riyadh, because the government felt that he is a very important person, and he died in Riyadh 6 months after PhD. Wallahi, those 7 or 5 days when I was on that trip, I was every night sleeping and thinking, I keep on working so hard, books and lectures and all of these things. What is this going to do to me? I mean, after all of these efforts, PhD, everything is gone and a person is sitting in the grave. This is what is the interaction with human surrounding. Wallahi, my brothers and sisters, reflect upon these realities. Ask these questions. The things which are keeping you so busy and not letting you go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or respond to Him in a proper response, just reflect upon them. There were so many people before you, in your surrounding, in your family, who were just as busy like you. But then this money, these books, these articles, all of these accomplishments remain here, and they went back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Focus upon those things. So when you read the Quran, وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. Establish that conscious relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His Habib, with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. آمنوا بالله ورسوله والكتاب الذي نزل على رسوله والكتاب الذي أنزل من قبل. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.